Welcome to Trojan Insider. My name is John Emmett. We begin today with volleyball coach Rose White, whose team won their divisional opener at Bowie State, and they continue a seemingly endless road trip tonight at Virginia Union. Coach, you guys off to a good start in conference play, and really sounded like you really took care of your business at Bowie.
In the past, Bowie hasn't been an extremely challenging match for us. So this time I wanted to really just try to keep us mentally focused throughout the entire match, try to get something out of it, get better, and I feel like we, for the first time since I've been here, against a weaker opponent, have truly done that.
When you get a game like that and you're rolling, is there an opportunity to kind of experiment a little bit with personnel?
Sure. For example, we went without one of our team captains, Deidre. She has a Thursday night lab, and we decided that this was one that she didn't need to miss that class for. So going without her, meaning that other players are going to have to step it up, and we're going to have to figure out how to win without her. And it was an opportunity for everyone on our bench to play.
Let's go back to the roundup. A busy time. You got off to a little bit of a slow start, tough match against one of the preseason favorites, and then seemed to play much better the final two matches. Let's start with Shaw. What were some of the keys in that one?
It was all about serving for Shaw. If you look at our box score, we missed 18 serves, which is just an outrageous number of serves to miss in a match. Essentially, to win a volleyball game, you have to serve the ball over more times than the other team, and missing 18 doesn't ever give us the opportunity to do that. The volleyball that we actually played wasn't bad. I don't think we were playing bad volleyball. We were attacking the ball, we were playing defense well, and we were actually executing our game plan well, except for all of those missed serves. We just didn't give ourselves the opportunity to even win that match.
So you get off to a little bit of a frustrating start. You have to bring your team right back in that format. Fortunately, you had an opponent you had played before and beaten before, but you were able to take care of your business the next two.
Yes, we definitely came back. We had a talk about it, and I think recognizing what the problem was, recognizing that we weren't playing bad volleyball, but just that this one thing was setting us off track was important. And I am really happy with the way that we came back against St. Aug, because we felt like they had one player against us the first time that we played them, that she was the only one that did a lot of damage to us. And when we started that match, I think the first 4 points were us blocking that one player, which is what we wanted to start off. I said, let's go in, let's take care of this player, and once that we take care of her, everything else is going to become really easy, and we did that really well.
The roundup format is, I would imagine, challenging from a coaching perspective. There's a lot you have to do, but there's also opportunities to scout. How do you kind of manage your time in that format?
I like to take care of a lot of it actually before we go. And I like to get video of all of our opponents before we play them and things like that. And so we spent time in practices before talking about each individual team and how we were going to attack each team and who we were going to focus on stopping and things like that. And certainly once you're there, you are checking out the team and making sure that your game plan is what you think will wind up working in the end. But I think when we're actually there, I'm most focused on my team. I try not to focus too much on the opponents and watching them and seeing what they're doing.
I look at the stat sheet, and it would appear that the people that you were really counting on heavily at the start of the year are people producing. Who else has kind of jumped out early?
I would say maybe like the dark horse of the team right now is Alexis Pullen. She's a senior, and she's done some nice things for us in the past, but this year we're asking her to set. And so we're running what's called a 6-2. We have two setters. So when Alexis is in the back row, she's setting, and when she's in the front row, she's hitting for us. And I believe last time I checked, she was actually leading in kills on our team, and she's got a nice number of assists. So for her to be able to contribute that much is something that I wasn't expecting at the conclusion of last season. So it's been a really nice factor to add in with, like you said, those players that I did expect to bring something. They're bringing it in addition to her, so it's been really nice.
Your string of 5 straight weeks on the road continues this week. Has that been an opportunity? Obviously, it's not ideal from a competitive standpoint, but has it been an opportunity to maybe kind of bond the team a little bit?
I think so, yeah. I think it has. And, we spend a lot of time together at the hotels and dinner and on the buses, and it has been a really good time for us to bond. And I like that on road trips you get all day to focus on your match instead of home games where you got class and other things going on, and then you get focused on the match. So I think it's been good for us.
The other piece of the roundup is, I guess, like keeping people fresh mentally as well as physically. You're going to play 3 games in less than 24 hours. How do you kind of keep them?
Like I said, individually, coming in with a different game plan for each team kind of lets you reset. Kind of says, at the beginning of each match, we're talking about, these 3 players, what do they do? How do we want to stop them? And so it kind of breaks things up for us throughout the day, and kind of you hit that reset button. Now we're thinking about different people, different game, and I think that can help, keep you recharged.
All right, next up, Virginia Union. You had a chance to see them firsthand when you guys shared a tournament at the start of the year. How do you approach the match with the Lady Panthers?
We're going to have to serve tough. I think they have more offensive threats this year than they have in the past. So if we serve tough, get them out of system, I think they'll be easy to pinpoint who they're going to and get up a good block on them. And they do have one hitter that they rely on heavily, so I definitely want to go out from the beginning, and we want to focus a lot of our attention on slowing her down, and then once we do that, we can kind of fan out to the other players. I think they're improved from last year, but they definitely have some weaknesses that we're going to attack.
Rose, appreciate it. Best of luck. Keep going.
Okay.
Rose White, head volleyball coach at Virginia State, joining us here on Trojan Insider. They tangle with Virginia Union Monday. Then it's another week on the road before the Trojans finally come home next week to play divisional at the MPC. We are joined now by Jason-Lamont Jackson, the head cross-country and track and field coach at VSU. We'll talk about cross-country a little bit to start here. Coach, you guys 3 meets in, had a chance to run at home over the weekend. How's it shaping up?
Shaping up well. We have, on the men's side, a mix of distance runners and track and field athletes that prepare for the indoor season, and on the women's side, about the same. And so one of the things that we're always looking for is, our best athletes to be able to get out there and put some good meets together to build going forward into the indoor season. And then the ultimate goal for us is to ultimately be top 3 in the conference on both the men's and women's side. So that's what we're shooting for all year.
A couple of weeks ago at Union, a pretty solid meet on the men's side. The pack kind of stayed together and racked up some points for you.
Yes, one of the things in cross country is you want to be as close together as possible. If you don't know, whatever place you finish, that's the point you're assessed. And so if you can get your top 5 runners in before their top 5 runners or whoever you're running against, that's how you're going to win. And so the closer they can stay together, the better. And they did a good job of that last week. You
mentioned some of the middle distance runners and different runners running in cross country as training. How much different is it for the middle distance guys to run cross country?
It's not that much different. On the women's side, it's a little bit easier. So in high school, they run 5K, and in college, they run 5K as well. On the men's side, they go from 5K up to 8K. So they end up running 5 miles as opposed to 3.1. So those 2 extra miles make a big difference, whether you're a 400, 800 runner or an 800, 1500 runner. So it's just getting a little bit more work in, a little bit more volume, and hopefully they're able to make the adjustment.
So on the women's side, who's kind of jumped out so far for you?
Rose, Renisha Dennis, we call her Rose, but Renisha Dennis has kind of led the team and done a really good job this year so far. Just last week at home, senior Christy Cadeau led the team, and so it's kind of been a back and forth between those two. We're really looking forward to each of them, along with the other 3 young ladies, to be able to pull something out when we, at the end of the month, end of October, when we go to the conference meet.
Well, on the men's side?
On the men's side, Juma Machette, senior Juma Machette, and freshman Tyron Evans, which is a local. He's from Highland Springs, and his first meet was this past weekend. He's done an excellent job of training, and we were excited about seeing him compete. And so we're looking forward to those 2 guys leading the team this year.
Now, on the men's side, you've run 3 meets with Virginia Union as kind of a primary competitor, and they're obviously a top program right now. You kind of battle harden you as you move forward a little bit?
Yeah, one of the things about Union is great. I mean, they're the class of the past couple of years. They've been the class of the conference. We finished second to them in conference last year, and I think that this year we have a shot to be a little bit closer to them as well. It's all about the numbers and the depth. And so one of the things that we really enjoy being able to do is to compete against them, at least 4 times before conference, twice at home and twice at their place. And great program up there. Coach Johnson's doing a great job, and so we're always looking forward to competing against them and, hopefully, in the next year or so, being able to dethrone them and get that conference title.
You've been able to keep the schedule really local this time around, too. 2 meets at home, 2 meets at Union.
Yeah, for us, it's not really a matter of getting away a little too far. And so when our course is somewhat tough, with the hills that we have in the stadium, and then Union's course is a little bit different, nice, flat, and fast. And so we get a good mix before we go to our conference meet. So staying local is good for the, good for the team. Because we're on the road so much during indoor and outdoor track and field that these first 3 months of the season are pretty good.
You're running it at Bryant Park up at Union. That's kind of an interesting setting. There's a lot of scenery. There's crazy Lego statues. There's all kinds of stuff. Have you had difficulty keeping them focused?
No, actually, they really enjoy that park. The coaches up there do a great job of kind of spreading out so we can get their 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 mile splits. And so they know that they got to just keep running until they see a coach or someone that's out there helping and really just kind of taking it mile by mile. It is a great park up there and nice and spread out, and so it's an enjoyable place to have the athletes compete.
I had to look at the rest of the CIAA right now in cross country. Who kind of stands out?
On the men's side, it really Union. Like I said, they're the cream of the crop, and we're hopefully chipping away at them. St. Aug's came up and they ran a meet against us, but I don't think they were at full strength, so we know that they'll always kind of be there. On the women's side, again, Union's looking really tough. Winston-Salem is looking tough as well, and I think that our women have been progressing each meet, and so we're really looking forward. We have about four weeks until our conference championships, and so we're hoping that they'll be able to bring their A game on the 27th of October. For
you, the competitive season runs through Memorial Day. You start to prepare now, obviously, for the indoor season. What can we look forward to there?
We're really excited about the group of student athletes that we have this year. Our first meet will be December 3rd or 4th at Christopher Newport, and then they'll go home for the holiday break, and then back January 9th at George Mason. And as you said, for us, it's nonstop all the way through to Memorial Day, so we're really, really excited on both sides this year. We brought in some quality student athletes, both academically and athletically, and so each year we've been at nationals. We've only missed once in the 7 years that I've been here, and so we hope that this year kind of gets us back on track for the indoor season and then continue like we do to the outdoor season.
Jason, thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Best of luck moving forward.
Thank you.
Jason-Lamont Jackson, VSU track and field and cross country coach, joining us on Trojan Insider. Next up, they'll run one more time at Union before the CIAA championships. We turn now to the head football coach here at VSU, Reggie Barlow. Trojans coming off a loss to Winston-Salem State, their first of the season, now preparing to face Livingstone Saturday night at Rogers Stadium. Coach, just go back briefly to Saturday. You guys found yourselves in a huge hole early, almost dug your way all the way out. What were your takeaways from the game?
Well, we have a lot of respect for Winston-Salem, and we knew it would be a tough game on the road, but they got off to a good start. And before we knew it, we were down a couple of touchdowns, but the mark of a man is how you show up against adversity. Our guys did a good job of fighting back and maintaining and really had an opportunity all the way into the fourth quarter to get back in it and win it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen like that, but just proud of our guys for their competitive spirit. And of course, we'll go and make the corrections on that, and we'll be able to move on from it.
You really did hack your way all the way back into the game. It actually had big momentum going in the third quarter. And then they hit a huge play, a 94-yard touchdown. And big plays were kind of the mark of their offense. What can you do to prevent that moving forward?
Yeah, we really pride ourselves on playing good defense and not letting teams get big plays on us. But unfortunately, they did have a big run for about 50 yards. That was for a touchdown. They had a double move pass route that went 94 yards or so. So those are things that we can't let happen. It's a good film to learn from, and our guys play hard. It's just a couple opportunities where we're misaligned and allowed them to get behind us, but we will improve on that.
Now you move forward, get ready to face Livingstone Saturday. You're bringing the team back after a loss for the first time. What's the attitude of the guys right now?
Well, initially after the game, obviously you guys are sad and a little disappointed because we didn't get the victory. But after talking with them and letting them know that Our goals are still intact. We want to have an opportunity to win the North and then eventually play for the CIAA championship. So those goals are still available for us. We met on yesterday, had an opportunity to spend some time with them, and the guys are excited about this week and getting better and focusing our attention against our next opponent.
How do you structure the practice this week moving forward for Livingstone?
Well, we like to keep things the same from a practice format. Obviously, there's different football situations that we have to change, whether it's third and long or the guys backed up or whatever. There will be some adjustment from a practice standpoint with that, but as far as our format and what we're trying to get done, it'll stay the same. Our guys have really bought into that format, and I think it works well for us.
Moving forward with Livingstone, your impressions of the Blue Bears from what you've seen so far?
Well, this is another CIAA opponent. I have a lot of respect for their head coach. He and I worked together at a previous place, and he was always a really good offensive coordinator. We expect them to have an exciting offense, throwing the ball around a little bit, doing some zone read stuff in the running game. So just another opportunity for us. We're excited to be playing at home in front of our fans. So we'll put a good week of practice together and have a good plan for them.
You've had a strange run of preparing for quarterbacks who turn out to not be there. This week, it's a complete mystery. They've used 4. How do you prepare under those circumstances?
Yeah, it's, obviously for us, it's keeping the main thing, and it's just knowing that at the end of the day, there's going to be someone that's going to take the snaps. Obviously, there's similarities in all of these guys except one of them is left-handed, but just knowing their scheme, knowing the passing concepts that those guys are going to run against us is the main thing that we want to focus on. And then once we get there into the game, whoever that quarterback is, we'll have to make the adjustments accordingly.
One of the things that jumps out looking at Livingstone is the size of their offensive line. They've got a couple of just huge guys. What do you do to combat that?
Yeah, they're really big. We're talking about 330, 360, and those guys can move around for that size. So we're gonna have to be really tough on the inside with our interior guys, Chris and Darryl, our one shade and our 3 technique, and then we are blessed to have a group of young kids, Colin Marshall and a couple other guys that have pretty good skills and pretty good size, and we just have to be smart and rotate those guys in and out, and hopefully we'll be able to match up against these big guys.
At times, Livingstone, last week against Chowan, one of them, ran the football pretty well. They're number 1 in the conference right now in time of possession. What do you do to kind of take that away from them a little bit?
Well, one, we have to sustain our drives when we have the ball on offense, and we have to find a way to complete passes. We have to find a way to still run the ball and keep it when we have it. And the more we have it, the better off we'll be with opportunities. I thought our defense, although we gave up some big plays last week, did a good job of getting 3 and outs. And Coach Sanders and our staff, we're going to encourage those guys to do that again this week. What
do they look like from an X's and O's standpoint?
Well, offensively, they are real typical to the spread teams. They're running a zone read, and whether it's reading the backside defensive end or reading the linebacker, they want to get the ball in space on guys. From a passing game concept, like I said, I know Coach Williams from the previous play, so I see some of the things that he's doing. He will throw the ball downfield with his quarterbacks to the couple of receivers he's have there. And then defensively, they have just as big of defensive line as they do on the offensive line. So they play a 4-down look with various coverages behind it.
While their quarterbacking has been fluid, running backs and receivers, they clearly have go-to guys. Talk a little about their go-to running back, Richardson, who's averaging about 5 yards a carry so far.
Yeah, whenever you're averaging that per carry, that means somebody's doing some good blocking for you. And then this kid has a skill set, especially with this zone read stuff, to when he's able to get the edge, he gets it. And if for some reason there's a defender that flashes across his face, whether it's your 3 technique or your defensive end, he's able to put his foot in the ground and get vertical on you. So we just got to make sure we don't create any seams there. We can't overrun the play with our linebackers, and we just got to make sure we have good fits And then, of course, your receiver, coach is still recruiting guys that can make big plays for them. And this receiver that they have here is no different from that. He's a guy that can beat you with the deep ball as well as catch the ball short and make things happen with it.
Who are some of the personnel that jump out from their defense?
Yeah, well, it starts interior. Their two defensive tackles are big mammoth guys that their technique is really the bull rush. They want to set our offensive line or the opposing offensive line. They want to push them back into the quarterback's lap. So we got to make sure that we're stern and firm in our protection as well as our run block in this game.
Kicking game, they've got a guy who kicks it between the sticks pretty well. He also has to punt. Average has been less impressive. What do they pose from a special team standpoint?
Well, they're sound in what they do from a special team standpoint. They are your typical spread punt team that they're doing, and they line up similar to us, except they don't detach their gunners. They have those guys in. They protect the punter really well. On kickoff return, it's your typical 5 guys in the front, 4 in the back, and then your 2 returners. So real sound in the special teams. Coach Williams is doing a good job with what they have, and those guys will be ready to play.
What about some keys for getting through Saturday night with a W?
Well, for us, it's starting off fast. We pride ourselves on putting the defense out first and hoping we can get stops with the defense out there. And whether we put the offense or defense out, we want to be able to pose our will on our opponent initially starting the game out. And then we just want to sustain our efforts, whether it's in special teams or offense or defense. And we can't have 3 and outs on offense. We got to keep the ball away from this really good running back that they have. And then defensively, we have to continue to tackle better. And then it'd be great if we can get a couple turnovers or 2.
Reggie, thanks a lot. Best of luck. Reggie Barlow, VSU head football coach, joining us on Trojan Insider. Trojans against Livingstone, 6 o'clock at Rogers Stadium. You can follow the radio broadcast at 5:30 on 91.3 WVST.